The Torah portion of the week, Parshas Teitzei. We are in the third reading. We have much to learn here. It's lengthy. We're going to focus, and we're going to do a lot of trucking over here together. Are we ready? We are in Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse number 8. Okay. Now, if you're going to build a new home, what's the law of building a new home? Can you give a book to Jeffrey, please? Pass him a book. Oh, thank you very much. Kisivne, when you will build, Sivne means to build, bias, a home, chadash, a new home. You build a new home, asisa, and you shall make a mica, which is a fence, a gagecha, to your roof. And you shall not place damim, blood, bebeisecha, in your house. Because the one who falls, mimenu, from it. So this is talking about making a fence on top of the roof, that if someone goes on top of the roof, that they should not fall. You have an obligation. Huh?
Seriously, what's their antenna? Exactly. What's he doing in the roof in the first place?
Because back in the day, good question. Back in the day, everybody used their roof to actually do their business. They would take their dates to dry them, putting them on the roof, right? The roof was part of a home, right, that people not lived in, but used as a function, right? So if it's a slanted roof, you don't have that obligation, because then you're right. What are you doing on the roof? But if it's a flat roof, back in the day, all roofs were flat, then you need to make a mica. You need to make this. Excellent question. Let's see Rashi now in verse number 8. When you're going to build a new house. So Rashi is now continuing. Often he's showing us a juxtaposition. Yesterday, what did we speak about? Sending away the mother bird from the chicks, right? Or from the eggs, right? So Rashi says, why is that juxtaposed to here? Because if you're going to fulfill sending away the mother from the nest, so if in the end you will leave those by his chadash, you'll build a new home. The sky mitzvah Micah, and you'll fulfill the commandment of making the fence. So why? Because one command brings about another command. And then you will arrive at owning a vineyard and a field, which we'll see that verses 9 and 10, the next two verses. The begodim noyim, and to nice clothing. That's why these passages are juxtaposed one to the other, even though they have nothing to do with each other inherently. Micah, a fence, is a new word that we haven't had yet in Torah. So Rashi explains, Goder saviv legag. It's a fence around a roof. The uncle is tirgim tiyako. And uncle, as he says, it's a bag. Kigoin tik shemishamer mashav, like a fence which acts like a bag to protect that which is inside of it. Interesting. That's a funny word over here that he says, that the verse says. If one falls, shall fall from it. And what do you mean? The one that he fell falls, right? He fell the one who falls. I mean, if it's one who falls, then he falls. Which way? So he says, Roy fall, because this person's fitting to fall. He deserves to fall. Oh, this ties in, perhaps, Jeffrey, with your question. Nonetheless, let not the death come about al yodcha, through you. Right? In other words, it's fitting that this guy should fall, because what's he doing there? Which is ties in with what you just asked, right? What's he doing there? So in other words, he's fitting to fall. Yet, you have to be defensive about that. Build that fence in order that he shouldn't fall, even though what's he doing there, right? Because the heavenly court makes the merit come about through one who is worthy, and that which a person is detrimental about to come through one who is guilty. Wow. Very fascinating.
Does he fall or not?
No, the problem over here, Rashi's coming to say, the one that's fallen, Hanoifel means the one who falls is falling. Well, obviously the one who falls is falling, right? In other words, the one that's fitting to fall is falling. So I don't know if it's so much about that, what's he doing up there, but meaning to say, no, actually, what it means to say about the person who owns the home, that good things, heavenly court brings merit to person who are worthy. In other words, when you do things that are worthy, you're going to get something good that'll come to you. If you do things that are unworthy, right? In other words, you don't put up the fence, guess what you're going to have? The guy who was supposed to fall is falling.
He fell spiritually, and that's why he's falling physically.
So Rashi doesn't, I mean, maybe that's alluding to, it seems to in Rashi, maybe that's a deeper understanding in Rashi. We'll have to see the Sikha from the Rebbe, because I think that's where it goes, right? In other words, on spiritual terms, that's a deeper idea over here. But let's see, I don't know if we'll have time to see the Rebbe Sikha, but I think it ties in that idea, yeah. Okay, verse number 9. So now, completely unrelated idea. This is the idea of that you should not mix species together. It's called kiloyim. The same idea of wearing clothes that are, wool and linen. We're going to see. You should not sow your vineyard. Karmacha is your vineyard. Kiloyim, a mixture. Pentik dash hamaleya, lest you will set apart. Tikdash means here, holy means setting apart. Hamaleya hazera asher tizra v'tvosa ba'akerim, lest you you should set apart the growth of the seed that you plant and the produce of the vineyard. Let's see Rashi. What does this mean over here? So kalai means a mixture. Rashi says, chita, what's the mixture over here? Wheat, usaira on barley. Charton, grape seeds, then mapailis yad, in the same throw of the hand. In other words, if you have in your hand barley seeds together with grape seed, right? And wheat seed, why is there the 3 of them? Yeah, the 3 of them.
Your hand with a single hand motion.
Right, and you throw it, right, in order that it should grow. That's called a mixture. You're not allowed to do that. Okay?
Is it only those 3?
No, it means that's the example that he's giving, right? Because the verse speaks about a vineyard, so that means a grape seed, together with a field, a seed or tvua. Tvua is produce, it's produce of the vineyard. So I'm not certain why he puts wheat and barley together here, because it seems like it's more about one of those together with grapeseed, right? So that when you throw that from your hand, that's called a mixture you're not allowed to do. Pen tikdash, lest you set apart. This should be on the Sigitar Gumar, according to Unkelis, tistoev, become impure. Interesting. Kol davash in nisav al ha'adam, anything that is off limits for a person, pen l'shevach, whether it's praiseworthy, kigoyin hektish, like sanctifying something, they're making it holy, pen ben leganai, whether it's a discredit, a bad thing, kigoyin isser, like an instance with that which is prohibited, neifel b'loshin kiddush, the word kiddush applies. Kamai al tikash it's kiddush ticha, that you should not approach me, for I have put you off limits. So the word kaddish, we usually use it as the word holy, but the root of the word doesn't mean holy. It means set apart. So set apart could be above the line, which means it's holy, or it can be set apart below the line. It means it's impure. It's negative, right? That a negative connotation, right? So this is what he's saying over here: lest you set apart, right, in a unholy manner. Rashi next, Amalea, the growth. The growth, mole, right? Zemili, this is filling out a cephus and an increase. Shazera Maisiv, the seed produces a plant that grows from the seed. In other words, from the seed, you're going to have something that's going to grow out. That is forbidden to do.
This is part of the 7 species of Israel. They don't want to mix them.
Maybe that's why it's bringing that. Okay. Right. Okay. Next. Another form of kilayim is loy sachreish. Do not plow bishor v'chamor with an ox and a donkey yachdav together. Right. Don't put in the same yoke. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Yoke. Don't put on the same yoke a cow with a donkey. A donkey with a donkey or a cow with a cow is okay. This is also called a mixture, right? Rashi in number 10. Lo yisachreish b'shor v'chamor. Do not plow an ox and a donkey. Huadin. This is true. L'chol shnei minim sheba'olam. Any 2 species in the world. Huadin, and this is the same thing. Lahanhigam yachad. To leading them 2 species together. Kshurim zugim. That they're tied together as a pair. V'hilachas l'shum masad. For transporting any burden. Any 2 species that are different species, you cannot put them together, pair them together to transport a burden. It doesn't mean just to plow the field. That's just an example of what you can't do. Okay? Okay, next form of mixture that you're not allowed to do. This now becomes another level. Loy silbash, you should not wear shatnez. Okay, we'll see what the word shatnez is. Right? Tzemer upishtim yachtav. Tzemer means wool. Pishtim is linen. Yachtav together. Rashi, shatnez. So, what does that mean? Loshen eruv. This is a language of mixture. Our sages, they explain the word shatnez is actually is a contraction of the word. It's an acronym for carded or spun or twined. Right? In other words, different ways that you can put those pieces together. In other words, if you just have wool and linen touching each other, right? Then no. But if it's spun together or it's woven together, sewn together, then those 2 things you're not allowed to put together. Okay? Okay? 12. Okay, now that we're speaking about clothing, so the next verse, interesting, says Gedilim taseloch. You should make Gedilim. What are Gedilim? Twisted threads, we'll see. Al arba kanfois, on the 4 corners ksuscha of your garment, is speaking about tzitzis, of course. Ashek dechaseba, that you cover yourself with. Let's see Rashi in number 12. Gedilim taseloch. You have to make threads, twisted threads you make for yourself. Af mina kalayim, even from a mixture of wool and linen. The kasam kosov. That's why the Torah puts them one next to the other.
Rabbi,
Yes.
the stitches can be wool and the thing can be linen, as long as they're not mixed and twined together.
No, look what the Rashi just said. Why is this verse juxtaposed over here to the previous? Is that these twisted threads, right? These threads can be made, right? Can be made from a mixture of wool and linen, right?
Okay, can be. Thank you, Rabbi. I never knew that. but not, traditionally, they're not.
We don't do it because you can fulfill the mitzvah without doing that. Rashi says, even from the mixture. He's not saying, it's not a command that you must do it this way, right? Gedili means you have to make the twisted threads, right? Rashi is not saying that the twisted threads mean that it must be done that way. You could even do it that way. The only reason why it's even because of the juxtaposition. The words in the verse don't say that you have to do it that way. It just says you have to make twisted threads. Now the question is, which way you're making, what kind of twisted threads? What are you making that out of? So only because of the juxtaposition, it's saying, because it's not saying here, do not do it with the mixture, means that you could do it with the mixture. In fact, we don't do it that way. That's only because you could fulfill the mitzvah without doing that way. Therefore, we don't do it with a mixture of wool and linen, right? But you could do it that way.
Is it a precaution to not do it that way?
Yeah, but that's a rabbinic law. Remember, we're learning Chumash and Rashi,
Yeah.
so what I just said is irrelevant to our discussion here, right? Because this is only a biblical verse that we need to understand what the biblical meaning of the verse is, right? Yeah, we're good? Okay. Now we're going into a completely different topic. We're going to go into illicit relations. Okay? Completely different topic. Okay, verse number 13. Which we need to understand together with 14, really. Okay, when yikach, he will take ish, a man, isha, he takes a woman, meaning for a wife, aleha, and he comes upon her and others, they have relations, usanea, and he hates her, right? And he hates her. Let's do the next verse because they really come together, right? V'sam law alilas dvarim, and some law, and he places upon her alilas dvarim. He makes an accusation. Alilas is like a wanton or a improper claim against her, accusation against her, right? Alilas dvarim, that's alilas, right? V'hoitzi aleha shemra, and he brings out upon her. Through the accusation, he spreads a bad name about her. V'omar, and he says, "Esa isha, this woman, ahazais, this woman, lakachti, I took, ve'ekrav aleha, and I came close to her, meaning I had relations with her. V'loi matzasi, and I did not find la psulim, I didn't find that she was a virgin. I married her thinking that she was a virgin, and came out that she wasn't." That's his claim, right? It's only a claim, right? That is what we're talking about right now. Let's see Rashi. He comes upon her and he hates her. If this happens, Seifei, his end will be Samla alilas dvarim. 1 second. He makes a wanton accusation against her. Avera, I'm not exactly clear. What does it mean here?
In the end, when he finds out.
No, but it's
because he finds out later that when he had relation.
Okay. I know if this which, in other words, he, for whatever reason, he hates her. Because of that, he's making his accusation, and then in the end, he's going to find what he finds.
You shouldn't hate.
Yeah, but that's not what we're learning. We're learning the verse, right? In other words, the Torah is telling us because you waited, in other words, you looked at her wrong, and that's you're going to find what you want to find.
Man, that's not hate.
Yeah, but again, let's be current and let's learn what we're learning here. 1 second. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Avera Gerisa, what was it? Over Loisisna. He violated that you shouldn't hate. Seifei, his end will be Lobali de Lashon Hara, he's going to speak derogatory against her. In other words, in your heart, if you're going to have something negative against, guess what's going to happen? You're going to speak negatively in a derogatory form in the end, right? Correct, David. Okay? Esa Isha Hazois, this woman. What do you mean, this woman? Mikan, from here we see Sheinai Merdavar, that the party to the dispute may not say anything in court, Elabifnei Baldin, except in the presence of the other party to the dispute. Why does the verse say this woman? Obviously, it's his wife he's speaking about, right? He's bringing his claim, his accusation to court. Saying this woman. Oh, that means that this woman is there. Meaning, what means to say that if you have a dispute against another person, that person has to be in court if you're making the dispute, a claim against them. You can't make a claim against them if they're not there.
Mhm.
That's what the verse is saying.
Makes sense.
No, it is Lashon Hara.
Front of the court.
No, because he's doing it out of hatred. That's why he's saying this negative thing.
It's not Lashon Hara.
No, it's not because it's. Well, it might be Rechila. Well, that's a good question. It's Lashon Hara is Rechila. So, you know what? Good question. Hold on to that for a moment. It's a good point that Chaim is making. Because why, if it's in front of the court, then why is it Lashon Hara? Right? It's because out of the hatred is why he's speaking derogatory. It's not because there's truth here. That's the point. So that's why it's Lashon Hara, right? But then it would be Rechilas, but it should be Rechilas and okay, Motzei Shemra. Okay, you know what? Good point. Let's go further to see if right. Okay, let's go further, but keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, verse number 15. Yeah. Belakach avi hanaira, and he will take. Let's make sure we learn. You know, we'll have questions, and Rashi has the same question, so he will explain. And he will take the father of the maiden, right, who the claim was made against, the ima and her mother, v'hitzius b'suli hanaira, and they will take out the virginity. They will bring proofs of the virginity of the maiden, el ziknei ha'ir ha'shaira, to the elders of the city at the city gates, right? Because that's where the court is, at the city gates. Rashi, v'anaira v'ima, the father, the girl, and the mother, mishigidloi, those who raise gidulim ha'roim, the evil offspring, izbaze aleha, they should be disgraced because of her. Okay? In other words, they're responsible. What Torah is coming to say, what Rashi is coming to say, they're responsible that their daughter, you know, at least in the claim is speaking is, you know, the claim is made in such a way. Because obviously it can go either way, right? As we will see. Let's continue. Oh,
Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Shkoyach. Be in touch. Vorgesundheit. I'm serious save is good. Let's hear good news. Ksiva tova. Shana tova musuk. Okay. So what does it mean? Okay. Vamar 16. V'amar Avianaira, and he will say the father of the maiden, meaning the married girl, El Zikne, El Zakeni rather, to the elders, as Biti, as my daughter, Nasati, I gave Leish Hazeh to this man, Leisha for a wife, Bisna Eha, and he hates her. Amar Avianaira, the father of the girl should say, Malabid Distisha She'ena Shus Leisha. This is not PC, but it's okay. Torah is telling us the woman has no permission to speak in the presence of the man, of the husband. What's the proof? What's the proof?
The father spoke.
Right, because both of them are there. All right, it's in the previous verse said both of them were there on the side of their daughter, right? And now he's the only one speaking. Why? To tell us that this is the appropriate way that the wife shouldn't speak in the presence of the husband unless otherwise. Okay, 17. Behine, and behold, whose son alilos dvarim. The father's not saying he has placed wanton words, accusations, lemor, to say loy matzasi lebitcha b'sulim, they didn't find to your daughter b'sulim virginity, ve'ela b'sulei biti, and these are the virginity of my daughter. And they will spread. Thank you. The garment lifnei ziknei ha'ir, before the elders of the city. So Rashi is, of course, very bothered. What does it mean they place the garment, right, or the cloth? So Rashi says in 17, and they should spread out the cloth. Mashal, this is a figure of speech. But what it means is that the facts are as plain as they see a cloth, right? As here, I'm placing out the cloth in front of you, just as that's clear that I'm placing this cloth in front of you. So he shows his claim in court, right? That the proof otherwise. Okay.
Is that misconception if there's something on the cloth from her, she's not virgin? Have anything to do with the cloth?
It's a stain of blood.
Well, it'll be a stain of blood that shows that there was virginity, for example, as an example,
But
right?
actually saying it's a metaphor.
He's saying it's a metaphor,
Yeah, no,
right?
It's not literally.
Because the word similar is a garment, right? It's not, so it means, so it won't be the bed sheets or whatever, right?
You can think it is literally.
Yeah, no, it's not, no, not literal, as Rashi explains, because first of all, what do you have? That's not a proof to anything, right? The garment itself.
That's a misconception today
And yesterday.
and tomorrow.
No, now we know.
Not-
Thank you.
Okay, 18. 18. Velakhu, and they take Ziknei Ayir, the elders of the city, Hahi of that city, Esaish, that man. So now what's happened? They've proven her virginity. Okay? Even though the verse again doesn't say clearly how that was done, that we have to learn Rambam and other, right? But they've proven the virginity, right? So now they take this man, right, the husband, V'yisru, I say, and they punish him. He gets chastised, right?
Torture.
What is that? V'yisru, say, punish him. Rashi says, Malchus, he gets lashes,
Good.
right? He gets lashes. Continuing, verse number, V'anshu, I say, and then they give him a fine, a punishment, Meya Kesef, 100 silver coins. Benostul Avianairen, they will give it to the father of the maiden, Kihoitze Shem Ra, because he brought out a bad name, Al Basulas Israel, on a virgin of Israel. Veloy Si Elisha, and to him will be this woman as a wife, and he can't divorce her at all at any for the rest of his days.
It's not nice. Then she gets punished.
Yeah.
No. She can divorce him. No, that's only if she wants. That's only if she wants. It's only if she wants. All right. It's forcing him, but not her.
And also, why is he paying if they hit him? It's twice punishment.
Yeah.
That's unique. You're right. Usually, good point, is that when you get lashes, that's all you get, right? But here the Torah is saying that it's both things,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe because one is for the girl, and the other one is for the father. It's a Shema.
I know it's for the girl, it's for him, what he did.
Because he made her suffer.
Right. Now there's two
Yeah.
things. There's two, right? There's
Yeah,
two,
there's
right?
two,
There's her and to the family.
Yeah, who gets
Right,
shekels?
exactly.
Who gets shekels?
I mean, again, whatever, it's not in the area of Rashi, right? Rashi doesn't speak about it, so it could be that that's an explanation, but not in Pshuto Shamikra, because Rashi doesn't explain
Would
that.
it be compensation?
What is we just said it was compensation, right? No, it goes to the father, right? Goes to the right, because there's two things here. There's her and the household, the household that has been shamed, right?
Father's.
So our father's head of the household, so it's going there, right? But actually, the truth is, I have to look around, Rambam, because it may be a little more, that because it's speaking about a maiden, and that's a certain age bracket. Rashi didn't say that, so I'm not certain if it's at, if she was 20 years old, would it go to the father's home? Even though the verse says that, but it says by maiden, so maiden is like 12 years old, So, but I don't know if that's what it means. That's the word naira usually means from 12 to 12 and a half, halachically. But I'm not certain if it means here in the parameter of the verse that, right, it's a question. Okay? A question. Right. Okay. Now we're going to the other flip side of the coin, right? Because that's one possibility, right? Now we go to verse number 20 to another possibility. Im emes, but if it was the truth, that this thing happened, and there was not found the virginity to the naira, right? Rashi, and this matter was true. Be'edim. Well, how is it true? How do we know something is true? By the way, witnesses. They have to be witnesses.
Well, what
Right?
witnesses has to do with warning?
They have to warn
To who?
to her.
If she's virgin or not, what's going to help if they will warn them for what?
Previously, they were a witness previous to, not now. They weren't witness now to the husband who married this woman who was not a virgin.
She had relationships.
She had a relation before. Yeah,
They
and they were witnesses to that. And there were witnesses to that, right?
That happened without marriage.
No. It has to happen within marriage. She was she was engaged, because marriage is engagement, right? So she was engaged, and before they lived together, they didn't live together, right? Because chuppah is separate. So, and she had relations. That's called a married woman having relations. That's what we're talking.
Witnessing relations.
Right? Look, Rashi says very clearly, right? That there were witnesses, Vatsra, and warning. She's on, so that she had illicit relations, Lacha Erisin, after Erisin. Erisin is that you say, you give a ring that you're betrothed to me, but you're not living together until 6 months, a year later, till then you have chuppah, right? That was back in the day. Today we do the ceremony, both things together at once, but back in the day it was that way. Okay, so but you're legally married, even though you're not living together, and therefore so much so that this is called adultery. Okay, yeah, that's what the verse is talking about. Right. So 21 now continue. Now there were witnesses, right, to her illicit relations in marriage before taking as a wife, and they take out the maiden El Pesel Beisaviha to the entrance to the house of her father, Biskalua, and she gets stoned. And she by the men of that city, Ba'avanim, with stones. Vamesa, and she dies. Ki asasa Navala, because she did this disgraceful, thank you, thing be Israel amongst the Jewish people, Liznais, to have illicit relations based on Via in her father's home. Because when she was engaged, where was she living? In her father's home, right? Right, he didn't take her as a full wife yet. That would be, again, like the year later. And this is where it happened. And you shall destroy the evil from amongst you. So, by the way, now it makes more sense why the father also gets the 100 shekels, because she was living with him, right? So it's
But it's not fair. The man gets
Well, I mean, and she was until that point, right?
beating and let's say money, but she gets killed.
Huh?
That's pretty harsh.
Because it's illicit. That was adultery. He didn't do adultery. He just said something bad about her. He said he said derogatory thing about her. He didn't have illicit relations.
It is adultery.
It's not adultery. What he
Why?
did?
He married the married woman.
No, he married a woman. No, she was engaged to him, right? Yankel was engaged to Rivka, and Rivka was in her father's home,
Yeah.
right?
Because she had relationship.
With someone else. It's illicit.
She was married.
No,
No, she was engaged.
illicit relations. No, she had an illicit relation. She was engaged to Yankel, and she had a relation with Ruvain, right?
So the marriage does a kinyan. It's like this. The
Yeah.
relationship makes a kinyan.
No, but she's married. She's a married woman. She's a married woman. Okay, Rashi in 21. Yeah. El Pesach Beis Aviyah, what did it mean to the entrance of her father's home? Ru Gedulim Shigidaltem, as if to say, see the offspring that you have raised. Right? In other words, right? Why she executed that particular location? Kind of to emphasize that this is the home she came from. Which, yeah. Anshe Ira, the people of her city, called Anshe Ira, meaning at the assembly of the people of the city. And others, they are to be there. As we mentioned before, the Torah constantly tells us that when a person gets this kind of punishment, that other people need to see, so therefore it brings the fear of God into their hearts, or at least the fear of punishment. At least the fear of punishment, if not the fear of God himself, right? Right? Lisa is Beis Aviyah, to have illicit relations in her father's house. It might be Beis Aviyah, in other words, should be translated Beis Aviyah, in her father's house.
So he is the father.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Boy, harsh stuff. Yeah. Okay. Now it's a different law,
23.
right? Now, this is a different law, but in the same category of illicit relations. Okay, 22. Ki yimotze, when you will find ish sheichev, that a man who lies im isha with a woman, bu'ulas bal, who's married. Now a married man is having relations. Well, actually, even a man who's having a relations with a married woman. Now it's what you're speaking about. Before it was a different story. This is now he's having relations with a married woman. Both of them die. Ha'ish, the man, Hashechev ima isha, who lies with that woman, the isha, and the woman. Israel, and you shall obliterate the evil amongst the Jewish people. Rashi in 22. Huh? No. Let's we're not learning Pinchas. Okay.
If in this, is it like physically or
Maybe they had relations.
okay?
The word lying is just a euphemism for relations. They're just speaking in a clean language, right?
Okay, but, you not can. I don't want to not saying the same things to you, but I'm asking me if the heart is going for someone, but nothing's happened. Is it like the same things?
No.
No.
Platonic?
No, platonic. Yeah, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to. But this is not this law, right? This is not this law, right? This is about literally, being with each other. Yeah. Okay, Rashi in 22, both of them will die. This excludes the act of tingling. That a woman doesn't have pleasure from such an act. In other words, it says that they shall die, right? Both of them means that they both have to have a benefit from this. To include those who come after them. In other words, if it was adultery, yeah. In other words, even if it's like a gang rape almost, yeah, or something of that nature, or even someone who comes afterwards, right? As it's not just that person. It's not the first person who commits adultery. Even if it's a second person who commits adultery, it includes them, right? In other words, it's not like only the first person that will get this law because they're the ones who made her an adulteress, and right? Even the next person who does it also would get this same law, right? Would apply. Davar acher, alternatively, gam shneim. What does it mean? Even both of them. Rabbis is of la to include the fetus. What do you mean both of them? In other words, this woman, she was pregnant, right? She if she was pregnant, she sentences in mamtinin law. You don't wait for her, and she gives birth. Oh, that's a very strong and harsh. Yeah, the baby dies too, right? That's a second way to understand what it means, right? It doesn't, yeah. Anyways, folks, let's focus over here. We got a lot to learn. Okay, 23. As difficult as this might be, let's learn. Okay. 23. If there will be a virgin woman that is betrothed to a man, and the man finds the woman in the city, and he lies with her. So what is this talking about over here? Let's see Rashi in 23. A man finds her in the city. This is why he lay with her. A breach in the wall of the building calls forth an invitation for a thief. Yeah. If she would have stayed at home, law, this would not have happened to her. Other Sarah is coming to say here. Yeah. This is, in other words, a woman shouldn't walk around to make an invitation. If she's making an invitation to others, this is what it's talking about, the verse, right? So speaking in the concept of the idea, right, that she's making an invitation and the guy took the invitation, right? That's what we're talking about. That's the instance over here. In other words, she's a party to this relationship, right? Right?
Well, it wasn't an invitation. She was just seductive.
That's an invitation. She's
It seems like she agrees. But
yeah, no, she is agreeing. No, this speaking, she is agreeing. That's the whole point over here. That's exactly the point. Huh? She consented. Exactly. She made the invitation, and therefore she consents. That's what it's speaking about. That's what Rashi is explaining. Because you're going to see after the next one is going to be that he finds her. He finds her in the field. There was no invitation. That's rape. This is not rape over here. That's the point over here. This is not considered rape, right? Teitzei is gam as shneihem, and you'll take both of them out. El Shara here, right? Who are we talking about? A married woman. We're talking about a married woman because if you're not married, then you don't get the death sentence. It's only adultery, biblically, is only with a married woman, right? And that's what we're talking about over here. Right, and by Teitzei gam shneihem. Look, we don't have time, so let's.
I think that it's about her being able to yell out.
No, just follow.
In the
You're going to
city.
say no, because in the city she could yell out, and therefore she didn't. And she
She
didn't.
Nobody will hear her.
But that's why that's rape. That's why that's rape. In the city she could have yelled out, and she didn't yell out. That's why it's not rape.
Right.
That's the point. That's exactly the point. This is not rape. What's the proof that it's not rape? No, what? No, that they're both getting killed. They're both getting the death sentence. She was a party to it. That's the proof that it's not rape. Because if it was rape, then she's not a party to it. Then he'll get the death sentence. So let's learn. Let's see. It's very clear. Teitzei says, Gam Shneim, you take both of them, Al Shara ear to the gate of the city, of that city of Skaltam, Isam, and you will stone, and they will be stoned, both of them, Balbanim with stones. But Mesa is Anaira, and they will, and she will die. The young maiden, Al Dvarsha Loitzaka, on the fact that she did not cry out by ear in the city. There's a ish. Al davar shaloi ina, and on the man that asher ina, that he oppressed is Eishes Re'ehu, the wife of his friend, and you shall destroy the evil amongst you. Now, by the way, this is not saying that every time it happens in the city that's consent. It can be in the city and it's not consent. It's giving an example of the natural way that it would be. That's in the city, right? And there's people around, and if it's rape, you're yelling, right? Now, if the person had a knife to you, so you're not yelling. So it's not talking about that. It's not talking about it. It's speaking about in the manner that you could have yelled out and you didn't yell out. That's a proof that there's consent over here. That is just giving the parameters of what's usual. It doesn't have to be that way, right? Which we learn at Rambam. Torah is just giving us the right. The imbasa the imata, but if in the field he finds her, Haish, the man is an ira, this maiden, who is engaged, the chazigba, and he holds her. The verse is saying he's holding her, right? The last one didn't say he held her. Why? Because it was consent. Haish, the man, is holding her. The shachav iman, he lies with her. That means Haish, and the man will die. Asher shachav iman levada, he alone dies. He alone gets a death sentence. 26. So I got a truck over
I
here.
didn't do Rashi 23.
I didn't do Rashi 20. Oh, thank you. Ish Ba'ir, and the man finds in the city. That's why he laid with her. No, I did it. I did it already. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, we did it.
Stay home.
Yeah. We did it. You did it.
Best you not.
You're reading ahead, Chaim. You're not with us. But we did it. Okay.
We're 26 or
We're 26. Well, Lanaira loisas dabar into the maiden. Don't do anything. In Lanaira chait mavas. The maiden doesn't have the sin of death. Kikashe yokom aish areyehu. Because when it will arise a man on his upon his friend ritzachoy nefesh kain hadavar hazeh. Oh, when a man rises against his fellow and murders him, so is this thing. Let's see Rashi. What is this? Interesting. The metaphor over here, right? Ki kasher yakum, when a man rises up, the pshutay simply it means zeh mashmoy, as it means. Ki anusehi, for she is being coerced. B'chazaka amad aleh, and he forced her, and he rose against her forcibly. Ka'adam ha'imel al chaver, like a man who was against his fellow lahargo to kill him. That's a simple meaning. But our sages, they expound upon it. The is come to teach us, and is found to taught about. Okay, we're going to continue further. Because in the field he found her. Sorry. Yeah, and she cried out. This woman who's a maiden who is betrothed, and there's no one to save her, right? Because she's in the field. If she would have cried out in the city, there would have been someone to save her. Again, in the circumstance that he's not got a knife at her, right? For if a man finds a virgin maiden, that she is not engaged. Now we're talking about something else. Not a married woman. She's not engaged, right? And he grabs her, but it's rape, right? This is rape now. And he lies with her, and they were found. They were discovered, right? Continues the first verse. So the man, because he raped her, that lies with her, he has to give to the father of the maiden 50 silver coins, Veloiti and to him will be this woman because he coerced her. You can't divorce her forever, right? But yeah, she doesn't have to marry him, right? if she agrees, right, that she wants to be married to him, then she could, right? Because usually when does rape happen? Someone that you know. And maybe you didn't want to be raped because you wanted to you want to do the right thing, but I want to marry this guy. So she can choose to marry to him. He has to pay this fine, and he can never divorce her.
That's right.
Whatever. But again, she has a choice. He has no choice. That's the point, right? He has no choice. Interesting law of rape, right?
You're looking for the same stuff.
Okay.
You're getting grateful.
Okay, let's continue quickly. Chapter 23, verse 1. Lo yikach ish es eshes aviv. A man should not take his father's wife. Lo yigale kanaf. Aviv, he should not reveal the robe of his father. Rashi. Right. Aim lo yikach. What does it mean he should not take? So what it means over here, it doesn't mean about relations, right? It means he can't take her as a wife. Taking means over in kedushin teitzei. It means it has no effect. There's sometimes that right? It doesn't say here he lied with her. He says don't take her, meaning marriage does not apply over here, right? Lo yigale kanaf aviv. In other words, the relationship is forbidden. Lo yigale kanaf aviv. He should not uncover the robe of his father. What does that mean? Shemeres yavam shel aviv. A woman who anticipates a yavam by his father, haroya la'aviv, who is fit for his father. Barei kvar muzar aleh. But we see now that it had already been forbidden by the Torah. Mishum ervas achi aviv, because of the nakedness of your father's brother. So why does the Torah refer to a woman here that's already forbidden? Ella, this comes to the laver Allah. So b'shnei lavim, that there's two negative commandments here regarding this woman. Release meichla, and to put her near v'lo yavod mamzer, and mamzer should not enter. Lamed she'en mamzer ela mechai v'krisis, only from relations that a person is liable premature death. Kavachemer, all the more so. That the mamzer issues mechayvim misais based in from those who have liable the death of the court of law. Shein arayis misas based in. There's no death carried out by the court of law for forbidden relations. Shein bal karis, it does not have karis. I'm not going to go into that. It's a bit lengthy and difficult, and I don't have the time. I'm just going to do this last verse. Lo yava pitzu daka. Should not come. Verse number 2, an injured or Korah's shavcha b'kol Hashem, someone severed or severed of spilling, shall not enter the congregation of Hashem. Rashi. So, but this is the one letter in the whole Torah. The word daka, is it written with a hey or with an aleph? There's an argument about it. It's the only letter in the Torah that there's a question of how it's written out. We just had a Yom Yom on this last week. One who's injured or crushed, and if that his testicles are injured or crushed, severed or spilled, that the male organ has been severed, it no longer shoots forth a stream of semen, right? But rather it spills and drips, and he can't father children. Huh?
Sounds like a vasectomy.
No, it's not, but yeah. Anyways, okay, we're gonna stop over here. Huh?
They cannot be amongst Israel.
Can't. Anyways, yeah, can't marry regular. He could marry, but not yeah, because he's not gonna father children.